Steve here with ICRPG behind the DM screen. In this episode, we will be talking about hostages and prisoners. Admittedly, I do not know how to handle these in the game, so I'm really looking forward to your comments below as far as mechanics go. Like and subscribe. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, it's no secret that I have a few issues when it comes to the mechanics in ICRPG, especially things that maybe were left out for simplicity's sake from some of the other gaming systems like D&D 5e or Pathfinder. One of those in particular is the idea of alignment. When we are talking about dealing with prisoners and hostages, I kind of don't know how you can get away from using alignment, and I'll explain in just a second. Now, I am actually working on my own game system. We're going to launch that pretty soon here. We're pretty close. But it does include alignment, but a very simplified version. I do agree that many of the alignment schemes are overly complicated. So I'm going to put this up on the screen just to show you, but this is my simple alignment system. It's just 5, basically. You can look at it there. You've got good, bad, follows rules, breaks rules, and neutral. And that's it. But why do I think it's important? Well, in a situation where you're taking hostages, you have to know the difference between whether your characters will do what is called mercy or murder, right? If you're just somebody that's got no problem just killing somebody or going back on your word, then a hostage or take no prisoners kind of thing is perfectly acceptable. However, if you are a character who is good and noble and that kind of stuff, if you take on a prisoner, you got to care for that prisoner. If you take on a hostage and you promise something in return for information or whatever, you need to make good on that. And I don't know how you can avoid alignment with that. If you have any comments, comment below. I know that many of you have opinions when it comes to hostages and prisoners within the campaign. I'm not so much looking for comments or ideas on whether or not you should have it or do it. I'm going to have it. There are going to be instances where it makes sense to take a prisoner or to have a hostage or whatever. That's going to happen in a game somewhere down the line. So for me, that's going to happen. So kind of don't make comments in that capacity. But what I really need help with from you guys is, what about the mechanisms? How do you manage resources, for example? A hostage can start eating food, obviously if you take care of them. So that's going to deal with resources. So how do you do that in real time at the table? And what mechanisms do you use for that? I'd really like to know. Like I said, this is one of those videos where I'm coming to you as the viewer and saying, I don't really have this down. Really not even a clue as to how you do resource management with a hostage. The other situation will have to do with whether or not they slow you down. And besides slowing you down, how is it that a hostage might sabotage the party, right? You can have a hostage that ends up just totally train wrecking your party. That would be very real. They're kicking and screaming and whatever. How do you deal with that? What's the mechanism? Like I said, what are parameters, dice, whatever it is, to actually make that a tangible, viable mechanism for hostages and prisoners? The other issue is, can they ever be won over, right? How do you determine whether or not a hostage or prisoner ends up becoming an ally, say, for the party and working for you instead of for the enemy? So are there mechanisms there? Again, I hope to see this whole comment section flooded with comments, because I really want to hear how you guys handled that at the table. I'm a newbie at it. For me, the two biggest issues with hostages and prisoners are going to be the alignment issue, that your characters need to behave the way that they are aligned. And again, ICRPG, not so much with that. So let me know how you handle that. And then resource management is number 2, because I also believe that we really do need to keep track of resources. If your party only has so much food and water and they take on somebody else, there needs to be a realistic dwindling of that supply. So yeah, how to handle that. So that's it. Again, more questions than answers on this one. So please, please, please comment below. Thanks again for watching. And as always, may your dice always roll with advantage.